Hello and welcome to 3250 Professional Writing. You've signed up for a 6-week version of this course, so let's dive right in. My name is Dr. Jonina Anderson Lopez. You can refer to me as Mrs. Anderson, Mrs. Anderson Lopez, Mrs. Lopez, or just Gina. So that you know a little bit more about me, I'm going to share with you all the stuff on the screen. My other reason for sharing stuff is that the first day attendance assignment asks similar questions of each of you. Please submit the first day attendance assignment by 9 p.m. Eastern, or you'll be dropped from the course. Most other assignments will be due at 11:59 p.m. Eastern, except for this very first assignment, which ensures attendance on the first day of class and is prescripted by USF. I have to take attendance the first day, and it's done in this way. To start, my favorite horror movie is Get Out. I love psychological horror, and this is a seminal version of that subgenre, in my opinion. My favorite book is Fahrenheit 451. It was required reading in my 5th grade class, and it's stuck in my mind ever since. For me, good writing is something that can capture the attention of the audience and keep it. If I had to point out one book as an example of this, it'd be Thomas King's nonfiction work, The Truth About Stories. In it, he is succinct and shares the story of his life and culture through relatable anecdotes. I would say another hallmark of good writing is saying what you mean. In a professional sense, this means brevity. That's a word I'll say often, but what it means is get to the point as quickly as you can. I'll always strive to do that in these video lectures, but since you're in a 6-week course, some of these videos may run longer than with other 15-week classes, simply because I've tried to pack it with so much more information. Speaking of the course, it's 6 weeks long, and so I've broken up the content into 6 modules. They will not all be published at once. This is because the course is not self-paced, and so as not to overwhelm you, I publish modules 1 week at a time and 1 week in advance. Additionally, each module is broken up into day 1 and day 2 readings and activities. As you can see on the screen, day 1 and day 2 are highlighted in module 1. Before diving into any of the weekly modules, 1 through 6, you should first begin with the module 0 or getting started module. It's labeled stuff you need to know, and that's so true. It also features 1 homework assignment related to the e-text for the course. We'll get to that later. I hope I remember it. It's the USF Writes practice upload exercise. Y'all don't have to worry about finding the instructor's office because this is an online summer course. Concerning homework, there's often 3 or 4 weekly assignments, sometimes more. I've tried to pare down the assignments to the bare minimum needed to understand and complete the learning outcomes of the course. Most minor assignments are due on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays. Major assignments are always due on Sundays, sometimes Mondays. Also, whenever you're cursing the amount of work in 1 week you have to complete, remember, it was you that signed up for this 6-week summer course. I'm just the boat captain. Each module will have required readings titled Understanding Concepts. I wrote these pages to help you understand major concepts for that week, which are in turn tied to completing minor and major assignments for that week. If you'd rather hear these pages narrated to you, you can click the immersive reader button. If I remember later, I probably won't. I'll show you this function in action. The understanding concepts pages are also where you'll find the required video lecture links. There are 2 required video lectures for every module, and they feature video lecture passwords, and we'll get to this video lecture password pretty soon. So the purpose of this course, 3250 Professional Writing, is to teach you to write for workplace situations. Similar to professional situations, you'll engage in individual and collaborative work. The collaborative elements of the course were designed with purpose in mind, and they're intended to mirror what you'll encounter in professional environments. I know I hear the collective groan, but group work is going to happen to you in adult life. Even though it can be awful, I know, you might as well prepare for it in a controlled environment now. This 6-week course is relayed in 2-ish phases. So initially you can pretend you're a new employee, you're learning the ropes. In doing so, you learn basic document types and how to apply research to professional documents. Later, you're going to be more experienced and you're ready to be paired with your peers to solve a professional problem. Once more, navigating Canvas can seem overwhelming. However, if you navigate this course, 3250, using the module button, you'll be in a much better position throughout the semester. You are in college now. It's part of your job to know when assignments are due. Do not email or text me asking when assignments are due. I mean, you can, but I'm not going to respond to you. You can always check for due dates via the modules or even the Canvas calendar. Miscommunication is never to blame concerning your missing or late work, especially when Canvas due dates are always the default. Life happens, I get that. Even still, I have a no late policy for all assignments. It's scary for some students, I understand. And to meet y'all in the middle, I do offer a late pass, formerly titled a Buckleberry Ferry Pass. If you click on the assignment page or within the modules, you'll find details about this pass. Essentially, it allows for late submission of an assignment for 3 days past the due date without penalty, but there are a lot of caveats to that. So please read the details of the pass before you think you can just apply it to anything and everything. The password for the Module 1 Day 1 assignment that asks for it is on the screen. Like I mentioned, there are 2 required video lectures per week, and likewise, there are 2 assignments per week, which are going to ask you for the video lecture passwords. The passwords change each video, and from week to week, and from semester to semester. Do not use the same password for different assignments. I mean, you can, but you're going to miss out on some points. If you don't use a password for an assignment that requires it, you can still complete the assignment. You'll just miss out on a few points. The syllabus is a document you should review. It's our contract for the class, and even if you don't read any of it, you're still beholden to the policies laid out therein. That means if you didn't read about the late policy or attendance policy, they still apply to you. What's great about the syllabus is you can find my phone number and email there. Please text me at appropriate hours of the day using WhatsApp. Text me appropriate things, please, please, please. Texting is the fastest way to communicate with me. The syllabus also reviews many of the policies you can see on the screen and a whole lot more. I don't require a syllabus quiz, although I probably should. Still review the syllabus when you can, or review the visual approximation you can find of the syllabus. There is a link for the syllabus and the visual approximation in Understanding Concepts for week 1. The next thing we're going to discuss is templates and how they're useful in 3250 and in professional writing or writing in general. A template consists of writing expectations for a document. It helps you align what you're thinking of writing with what is expected from the audience and receiver. Oftentimes, writing requires you to express yourself while tailoring the message to appeal to others. Effective writers do more than just write sentences. They map their sentences in an organized way to appeal to the audience. Writing is a series of moves. Seasoned writers seem to complete these moves easily, or maybe they learned them from birth, right? But this is an illusion. They only complete these moves easily because they've memorized the templates. They know how to adjust said templates as they see fit. For newer or even seasoned writers, templates can act as an instructional writing tool. Templates will help you become more creative, not less. For example, Shakespeare didn't invent the idea of sonnets, but he wrote them pretty well. Songwriters rely on verse, chorus, verse patterns. Screenwriters adhere to formatting conventions to create scripts. Sports players have to adhere to the rules before they can participate effectively. So ultimately, creativity and originality lie not in the avoidance of established forms, but perhaps in the imaginative use of them. Templates will be provided for some assignments, and this is going to take different forms. For some assignments, you'll see parts of the assignment guidelines that you can follow one step at a time, part 1, part 2, and so on. For others, you'll have a student sample that sets the tone for the template you can follow without copying any of the wording or images. Other assignments will feature an outline to follow, or what you might call an actual template that will help you create the draft of your document. For most assignments, the guidelines will feature a "how I will grade this assignment" link. This is a rubric consisting of yes or no questions that will help you self-edit your work before submission. It also helps you understand my expectations for the look and content of the document you're submitting. Essentially, templates show you what came before. They help you start writing. This establishes confidence for writers who may not have encountered a particular format before. It also lends seasoned writers validation that they've been following what's expected for certain writing conventions. In the world of professional and technical writing, templates will not always be provided. However, as you're learning the expectations of this type of writing, I will provide templates when I can to ensure confidence and manipulation of these set forms for you, the writer. Project 1, or P1, is a project designed to teach you about 3 common document types: emails, memos, and business letters, which all have different templates of their own to follow. Rather than just learn about these templates or what these types of documents are, you're going to learn about them through action. Professional writing is about action. What can you get done right flipping now? And to that end, you'll be learning about the 3 document types by choosing a professional scenario and drafting documents with professional audiences in mind. There are 4 professional scenarios to choose from. You only have to choose one of the 4. You're not writing for the 4 scenarios, which would be crazy. You'll also choose which document types, memo, email, or letter, are most appropriate for each audience in that scenario. So 3 documents total, because each scenario has 3 audiences. To write to each audience in your scenario, you're going to enact problem solving and display understanding of design and writing principles. For professional documents, words are hard. As you move through completing P1, you'll move through the steps that you see on the screen. But because you're in a 6-week course, you will not have to necessarily submit an outline. Rather, by the end of this week, you're going to submit the rough draft of P1. Before anything else, let's review the 4 scenarios for P1 to help you decide which one you want to concentrate on. So to start, scenario one is imagining yourself working in a retail environment. You are a regional manager, so you overview a number of stores. And within these stores, a new position was created, a BCI or Body Care Improvement Specialist. Some dude named Steve was supposed to have trained all the store managers on what this position entails. And kind of like when you walk into Home Depot or a similar store where they have people helping in certain aisles, they're kind of attached to that section, right? That's what a BCI specialist is supposed to do within your stores too. But the managers are misallocating the BCI specialists and kind of thinking, oh, they're lazy, they're just standing there, and instead assigning them to stock or cashier work. This is affecting your BCI sales, and you need to figure out what's going on, and you need to reply to the 3 people on the screen, Faith, 10 managers of your locations, and Steve, and enact problem solving, not just telling them what's going on, but what is going to be done about it. What actions are you going to take? Similarly, with project or with scenario 2, it is a tech issue that you're going to have to solve. You're imagining that you work for a big tech conglomerate. It's so big that you have to outsource some of your work. In this outsourcing, one company that works for you, Maintain You, has updated some web pages for clients incorrectly, and they've done it more than once. The latest time that they've done it has been with your oldest client, Gateway Industries, and Sheila, who works for them, is not happy, understandably. And you're probably not happy either, since this is not the first time Maintain You has done this. So what can be done to solve this problem, especially because your clients do not know that you outsource some work, and you don't necessarily want them to know, right? And you don't necessarily want to blame other people for this mistake. What can be done about this issue besides just updating the 3 audiences, Sheila, Jason, and Nathan? What can you do? And what can they do about the problem? The third scenario, kind of construction issue, is dealing with a denied permit. You are trying to construct more of your stores for your retail chain. But in doing so, your latest building had a wastewater permit that was denied due to a weird technicality. And there was a misunderstanding with the director of public works, Anthony Clemens, and you have to write to him again to let him know this misunderstanding with the wastewater for your building and how can it be solved. In case it can't be solved, there's contingencies, right? Or I hope you think of some contingencies when you reach out to Sarah and Anita, the other 2 people in this situation. What can be done to fix the problem? The last scenario you can choose from, if you don't like any of the other ones, or maybe you don't like this one either, I don't know. It's more of a personal or social issue within a corporate environment. Your company wanted some new hires and diversity in those new hires. And when that occurred, some new hires had some tattoos and some piercings, and they finally, after being hired, read the employee handbook, which details that if they have piercings or tattoos, they can be fired. So understandably, this scared some of your new hires, and they reached out wondering, are they going to be fired for some cultural tattoos or piercings? Your handbook is a little outdated, and you outsourced to Expedient HR Solutions to write the handbook for you like years ago, probably. How can you work with Linda to update the handbook quickly, update your boss on the problem solving you're implementing, and then reach out to Purnima, who is a new hire and is wondering about her status at the company? So as part of project 1, all the scenarios, they're not perfect. They have some details, but they're going to have some gaps, or like, what am I going to do with this part or that part? You can fill in some of these gaps with your imagination. You should definitely be filling in the gaps with problem solving. For instance, with scenario 4, the new hire is worried she'll be fired, and what can you relate to her to calm her fears and let her know she can keep working with the company? Or I've seen some students type in their responses like, "You're fired until we resolve this," which is not really enacting problem solving, right? It's more reactionary and kind of aggressive or passive aggressive. I don't know. Okay. Let's look at Canvas so we can review the day 1 readings and assignments. And that's pretty much how all of these video lecture recordings will end. I'll overview major concepts, and then we'll visit the module to better understand the assignment. So when you log in the course, it's going to look like this. You should be clicking the module button to start, and then you've reviewed module 0, getting started, which has a lot of stuff. It also has a required assignment, both for you to access the e-text and to submit rough and final drafts. So when you open it up, it's broken down into parts, right? There's a template of sorts. And the first thing is to download this document, which asks you to fill in a blank. You can put 1 sentence there, I don't care. And then save it, log into a new website, USF Writes, and you'll have to purchase access to that. It's about $40. Once you purchase access and you've logged in, it's going to look like this. And you click on it and you go to practice upload. That's the submission we're looking at right now. I'm going to have to change these due dates because it's for summer A right now. But anyway, you can visit Canvas again to look at all the parts and make sure you have everything that you need, and also to check that the due date on Canvas, which is the default, I mentioned that, aligns with the USF Writes due dates. For the most part, especially after this video lecture, the due date should be the same, because all that USF Writes Canvas assignments do for you is give you those parts. Like, what should I do? You're not going to upload anything here. You're going to upload it to USF Writes, and then you'll see your grade later in this space. So it's more like bookkeeping kind of thing, or how I keep track of Canvas assignments, but there's no way for you to upload anything when it says upload to USF Writes. You need to upload it to USF Writes. So that is that assignment. And then when you're done with that, you go to week 1 and you start with understanding concepts, which overviews a lot of what we just talked about in different ways. And there's more context, and there's cute little pictures, and there's a lot of links to detail stuff that we talked about that I can't necessarily go into deep detail about, because then these videos would be super long. And then we see that first required assignment, which you're going to highlight all this stuff, and you're going to reply to it on the first day of class by 9 p.m. or you're going to get kicked from the course. I hate doing that, but that is a USF rule and I have to adhere to it. There's always readings that you can access, and this is usually readings that you can access via the e-text USF Writes, but for the first week, I do have downloads of the chapters because I know not every student can purchase USF Writes the first week. And if that is the case, then you reach out to me, because you do have an assignment at the end of week 1 that needs to be submitted, a major assignment that needs to be submitted to USF Writes. But otherwise, if a weekly reading module page just tells you like, oh, read chapter 4, I don't know, but there's no downloadable link like there is here, then you would go to USF Writes, you would go to e-text, you would click on RAR. And then if I told you to read chapter 4, then you would go to chapter 4 yourself and you would read it on the e-text here. But again, for week 1, I did provide you with some of those downloads to help you out. And then we come to the last assignment for day 1. And it's broken down into parts. And the first part is a scenario, kind of just like what we talked about in the slideshow lecture. This assignment is priming you for project 1 that requires you to review a scenario and make some decisions. The scenario is really pretty stupid. Like, oh, you won a contest about Doritos. You can change the scenario if you want, but as long as you won something, like I've seen some students say they won tickets to a concert or some kind of TikTok video thing. I don't know, whatever. You can change the scenario as long as you won something. And then part 2 asks you to review a lot about email structure, some do's and don'ts. I can tell when students access that page or the outside links on email and understanding concepts. And ultimately, you're responding to 3 audiences. So getting ready for project 1, you're practicing. How are you going to respond to different people about the same thing and enact problem solving and not lie? Because lying reduces your ethos, your credibility, and it can get you into trouble later if you got to remember the lie or if you get caught in a lie. It takes away from that. So you copy and paste the 3 audiences and you think about, what does an email look like? It has a subject, right? And then it starts with the email itself, the opening, the body of the email, which has a beginning, middle, and end, and then a closing, right? And you're going to do that for all 3 of those emails. And what you're also going to do for an assignment that asks for it, and this one does, if an assignment asks you to include a password, you can include it wherever you'd like. Like some kids keep it at the bottom. Some kids put it in the assignment title or at the top somewhere. As long as you kind of have a template that you work from that always reminds you, do I need the video lecture password? And the video lecture for this week was here under the banner of heaven, a pretty disturbing but really good show you could watch. And you filled it out, you save it, and you upload it here for 10 points by June 10th at 11:59 p.m. And I do not accept assignments late, but if you want to understand how I'm going to grade this first really kind of more complex assignment, you could answer these yes or no questions about your own assignment before you submit. If you have any other questions for me, because this was a lot to absorb, you can text me or email me. And till next time.